I believe that the Islam religion is the best religion for our people because it creates unity and it gives one dignity and racial confidence and all of these things that are necessary to make a complete human being.
Are you not perhaps afraid of what might happen to you as a result of making these revelations?
Oh, yes. I probably am a dead man already.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu amma ba'd. Brothers and sisters, it is a great honor and a privilege to address you here tonight for a few moments about a man that is respected in this century. If you ask most Muslims, two of the most important Muslims of this century, many of them would mention Malcolm X, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, or Muhammad Ali, well known, respected, loved. I believe that once in a while, Allah give us great people. And when these great people come, there's lessons to learn. For instance, this is my list. You can have a different list. People like Nelson Mandela, people like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Muhammad Ali. I think that when these people come, when Allah sends people like that, then there's something for us to learn. I have never been a kind of person just hero worship. Oh, you know, Malcolm was great. Malcolm was great. But for me, it's like, what's the takeaway from the life of Malcolm and Hajj Malik Shabazz? How does a Muslim in Masjid Hamza or Muslim in New York City, how do we benefit from the life of Malcolm? What lessons can we learn? And that's what I want to do. I have taught colleges the life of Malcolm X. So I have a lot of material on Malcolm, but tonight I'm gonna do something. I'm going to be less on a lot of details of his life, because you can get details from reading the book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X. This is a must-read, by the way. How many have not read The Autobiography of Malcolm X? You have not read it, raise your hand. Okay, all those who raised your hand, we got you on film. Your assignment, you have to read The Autobiography of Malcolm X. It's a must-read. And so there are a lot of things that you can get from his life. The details, I'll talk a little bit details. And when it's relevant to the Islam, I try to make a connection. For instance, most of you know by now that Malcolm was born May 19th, 1925 in Omaha, Nebraska. Lesson number one. Where did he die? Here in New York. So what does the Quran say about that? وَمَا تَدْرِي نَفْسًا بِأَيِّ أَرْضٍ تَمُوتُ. No one knows what land they're going to die. Born in Omaha, Nebraska, die in New York. Martin Luther King Jr., what city was he born in? Atlanta, Georgia. Where did he die? Memphis, Tennessee. Born in Atlanta, died Memphis, Tennessee. So the lesson that we learn is that all of this, وَمَا كَانَ لِنَفْسٍ أَن تَمُوتَ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ كِتَابٍ مُؤَجَّلًا. No soul can die except by the permission of Allah. It's already written in the book. So it's written with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's already written. So was the life of Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X. What's the attraction, the appeal of Malcolm? Why do we love Malcolm so much? I'm going to take a few minutes. We have a mic here. I just want to take a few moments to get from you. I want to hear from you, those of you who know something about Malcolm X. Why the appeal? Why the attraction? Why the fascination with Malcolm? What is it about Malcolm that that gets people excited? And by the way, not just Muslims. Malcolm was well loved and respected, not just by Muslims. We'll start with you. We have a mic here. The sister's also downstairs, that's why.
We brought about, I think, a large case in the African-American community about self-empowerment, that you don't have your power based on what somebody gives you, you determine your own.
Good. Let's make this point. Jazakallah khair, excellent. In order to appreciate Malcolm, you can't study Malcolm from a vacuum. It's the context of his life. In the context of his life is during what you call the civil rights struggle and the awareness that he brought, especially to African Americans. Excellent. What else is the appeal of Malcolm? The fascination with Malcolm? Why is it that Malcolm is so beloved of people? Yes. Wa alaikum salam.
The reason why he was so beloved to me is because of his ibadah.
Because of his what?
Ibadah.
Ibadah. Now, this is a very interesting point, brother, making because of his worship, and we're gonna talk about that. And I want your permission to be honest tonight and truthful, without holding back. I do it only if you want me to. Permission? Okay. And really it's an incredible point that you make because of his worship. So I'm going to come back to that. Thank you so much. I'm going to get another one. Why the fascination of Malcolm? Yes. Take the mic.
He speaks freely and not afraid of the consequences of it.
He was a courageous man. Listen to what the Prophet ﷺ said. لا تجدوني بخيلا ولا كذوبا ولا جبانا. You will not find me a miser. Prophet is not a miser. Jabir radiallahu anhu said, ما سئل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم شيء قط فقال لا. Never was the Prophet asked something, he said no. He said, you will not find me a miser and you will not find me a liar. The Prophet always spoke the truth. And then he said, you will not find me a coward. Once in the city of Medina, there was some noise that startled the people. And the men, they got together and they got their weapons and they, got on their horses and they went toward the direction of the sound and they saw the Prophet coming from there. He had already gone there. He said, don't worry, everything's okay. So our Prophet was not a coward. And he used to make the dua, and we used to make the dua against cowardice. And it's something interesting, and I'm going to tie it again to your point about worship. Listen to what the Prophet said. Ahabu salat ilallah salatu Dawood. Wahabu siyam ilallah siyamu Dawood. The best prayer to Allah is the prayer of David, Dawood, alayhi salat wasalam. And the best fasting to Allah, the fasting of Dawood. And some of the hadith ends, وَلَا يَفِرُّ إِذَا لَاقَى. And he never ran away from the battle. Dawood never ran away from the battle. And Allah says in Quran, وَقَتَلَ Dawood Jalut. And David slew Goliath. When I was a Christian, I used to teach Sunday school. And they used to give us these little cards, and every Sunday they gave us a little cards to tell a story. The story I never forgot was the one of David. And they had this little, I had to teach Sunday school. And it had, as a Christian, David was a real righteous man, but he was a warrior. If you study the life of Malcolm al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, you will find out not only him, and I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about the Nation of Islam, where Malcolm came from, because people want to, dismiss the Nation of Islam part of his life and it was critical. Imam Bilal, you were in the nation. What year did you come in? 69. Imam Bilal and myself, we joined the nation in 1969. But I was a young man. You probably was an old man by the time. I was just 19 years old. I don't know how old you. You were 18. MashaAllah. So I want to spend some time talking about the nation. I think it's critical because there's some things happening now in the nation that I want you to know about. Let me get one more, the fascination with Malcolm, why you want to study the life of Malcolm X. By the way, let me tell you this, and I told you I'm going to be honest with you tonight. In truth, I have no idea how long I'm going to keep you tonight. I don't. I know Isha is at 8 o'clock. I know that. I'm not telling you we won't be here till midnight. No, I'm serious. You see, what happens is that when it's midnight, you're going to say, oh, he was serious. So I don't know. We may be finished short, maybe half an hour, maybe 45 minutes. We may go to Isha. I don't know. It all depends upon you. Because I think there's a lot of information I'd like to share with you. Not to keep it, but at least give you enough, I think. One more. Yes, sir.
He elevated himself from the lowest point. From the lowest point of the...
Let's start here. Thank you, Sheikh. If you study the life of Malcolm X, the things that he said about himself, either in this book, the autobiography of Malcolm X, or speeches that he was given, he will tell you how low he was as a human being. What I say today is not out of disrespect to Malcolm, but out of learning his history, because his history is so valuable that we have to know about his history, even the bad part. There's a brother, there was a man. He was on drugs for 30 years. And he was on every kind of drug that you can imagine. This man is 6 feet tall like myself. He had gotten so sick, he went into the hospital. He was weighing 60 pounds. The doctor thought he would die and told him he should call his family. He don't think he's going to make it through the night. He told the doctor, "Doctor, leave my room. There's someone I want to talk who knows." He talked about Allah. And that day he called on Allah. That was 23 years ago. If you see him today, he's a picture of health. This man, this brother, in my community, he came to Juma this past Friday. He is the brother in my community that if there's a drug problem, he solves it. Because he's been there, he knows. Muawiyah, he said, "La hakima illa dhu tajriba." There's no wisdom without experience. I don't know about drugs. I've never been on drugs. I don't know what drugs like. I'm not going to ask you, Imam. I'm not asking you, Imam Bilal, do you know what drugs? I'm not asking you. I'm just saying. I'm not asking you. And this brother is so good. There was a sister in our community we suspected of being on drugs. And we made her meet with him. When the meeting was over, she came to me in my office and she started crying. She said, "Imam, thank you for saving my life. If you have anybody here, anybody have a problem with drugs, let me know. I give you his number. This brother is a master." This brother is so good. He can look at you. He says, "Imam, see that brother over there? He's on crack. That one over there, he's on alcohol. That one there, he smokes marijuana. This one there is on heroin." Serious. So when brothers on my master see him, they go like this. This man, like Malcolm, came through the Nation of Islam. I can give you 1,000,000 cases because that's going to be one of my themes tonight. I can give you 1 million cases of people like Malcolm who turned his life around. How bad was Malcolm? Malcolm sold drugs. He took drugs, alcohol. Malcolm was a pimp. Some of you have no idea what I'm talking about. What's a pimp? You, young brother, you sensitive, so I'll give you the mic. I want you to explain to them what a pimp is. And remember, he's saying it.
I hope my dad isn't here. A pimp is someone who prostitutes women to other men.
Yes. Yes. And he sell women, make money off of them. Malcolm was a hustler. Malcolm was a thief. He went to jail for burglary. And many things, his life, he would tell you how bad it was. Malcolm went to jail, I think, 1946 for burglary. How bad was Malcolm? Malcolm had a nickname in prison. What was Malcolm's nickname in prison? Musa, tell him. Huh? Dirty Red. Dirty Red was his nickname in the street. But when he got to prison, he had another nickname. How bad he was. Anybody know? I give you, if you get it right, I give you a present. Let me tell you what the present is first. The present that I'm going to give you, I give you the right to donate $1,000 to Masjid Hamza. You still want to guess? I'm messing with you. I think you said it, yes. Somebody said it. Devil. His name, Satan. His nickname in prison was Satan. That's how bad Malcolm was. Malcolm was beyond bad how you can imagine. But Malcolm came out of prison. While he was in prison, he had 7 brothers and sisters, and most of them joined an organization called the Nation of Islam. And they were talking to him about the Nation of Islam. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. Talk about the Nation of Islam. And Malcolm had interest. And when he came out in prison in 1952, Malcolm joined the Nation of Islam. And he changed his life around. He stopped eating pork. And he changed his life around. So Malcolm made his first transformation from a truly wicked man to a good man in the Nation of Islam. Now, I want to tell you something about the Nation of Islam. I do it in humility. I don't do it to castigate the nation, but just to teach you historical facts. A few things. The most important thing about Islam, the most important belief is the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet, he sent Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu to Yemen. He said, فَيَكُنْ أَوْلًا مَا تَدْعُوهُمْ إِلَىٰ أَنْ يُوَحِدَ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى. Let the first thing you invite them to is the oneness of Allah. That's the most important thing. Because if you don't get that right, no matter what you do, you get the whole thing wrong. You can make prayer, you can fast, you can do all of those things, but if you don't get that one thing right, that you're worshiping Allah, the Almighty, the creator of the heavens and earth, you lost. You get me? You lost totally. You could do everything else, but if that's not right, you lost. On the other hand, you can mess up everything, get that right, and you can still be safe by Allah's mercy. But you got to get the first one right. Let me say something about the Nation of Islam. Let me say something about myself. I was a minister in the Nation of Islam. And Malcolm X became the national spokesman, I think 1957, of Mr. Elijah Muhammad and the national representative. His headquarters, masjid, was there in Harlem, 116th Street, now called Masjid Malcolm Shabazz. That's where he was the minister. Very famous. Malcolm was charismatic. Malcolm was eloquent. Malcolm debated, and he defeated everyone in debate. Everyone knows that. Malcolm, so when you talk about articulation, the ability to speak, Malcolm was peerless. Let me give you a little bit tidbit. I was in England years ago, and I was invited to give a lecture about Malcolm X. So the brothers picked me from the airport, and as we're driving, it was in Scotland, and as we're driving, I'm looking at all these posters, right? So Imam Siraj Wahhaj, the best friend of Malcolm X. Malcolm X's best friend. I was laughing. I started laughing. I was on the floor. I was rolling over. For real. I was laughing. They said, "Why are you laughing?" I said, I was 15 years old when Malcolm was assassinated. I wasn't his best friend. I didn't know Malcolm. I never met Malcolm. But I met and was friends with his wife, Dr. Betty Shabazz, rahimahullah. So Dr. Betty Shabazz, she taught me many things about Malcolm. One of the things she told me that, Imam, I haven't said publicly, but I'm going to say it now. And again, I say this with deep respect. How many of you ever heard of Minister Louis Farrakhan? Raise your hand. Good speaker? Great speaker, right? I agree. You don't know that he used to live with Malcolm. And he would be in the basement listening to the speeches of Malcolm, mimicking Malcolm. There was a time when Minister Farrakhan spoke. If you close your eyes, you would swear that it's Malcolm. Years ago, he sounded exactly like Malcolm X. Malcolm scolded him and said, "Minister Lewis, be yourself." Sometimes when you have great people, people mimic them, mimic the way they walk, mimic the way, you know, one of the greatest basketball players ever, who was that? Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan? I know Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I know, he was a Muslim, I know, I got it, okay. Hakeem Olajuwon, I know. Huh? Shaquille O'Neal, all right. See, you guys ain't right. You naming all the Muslims. You guys are prejudiced. So I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give Steph Murray, I'm going to give him Shahada so that, I would love to. So Michael Jordan, you know, there was a famous commercial, to me, one of the greatest commercials ever, Be Like Mike. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Be Like Mike. And it was a television commercial, and they were, what were they selling? Huh? What? No, not Gatorade. It was Gatorade, right? So when guys were playing basketball, what did they do imitating Michael Jordan? Huh? Stick their tongue out. Everybody was sticking their tongue out. Why? Because Michael Jordan stuck his tongue out. And he was the best. He was the best. So what happened is that Malcolm was so powerful of a speaker, mesmerizing. But what was the theology? Malcolm stayed in the Nation of Islam for 12 years. 1964 March, he had his Declaration of Independence. He left the Nation of Islam. But before I tell you why he left the Nation of Islam, let me tell you about some of the theology of the Nation of Islam. So now look at Malcolm, right? A life of crime, drugs, and all of that. Become a Muslim in the Nation of Islam. What was the theology? I said the most important thing is what? oneness of Allah. The Nation of Islam taught that a man by the name of Farrakhan Muhammad started their movement in 1930, and they said that that man, Farrakhan Muhammad, was God. So the theology of the Nation of Islam at that time was that Farrakhan Muhammad is God. We just prayed with Salat, Maghrib. Notice, by the way, I love the recitation of the Imam. I love that. You know how you can tell when a person have good recitation? While they're reciting, you're saying, don't stop. I was saying tonight, don't stop. I could have listened all night. So you know, notice that, right? We have Isha at 8 o'clock. In the Nation of Islam, they didn't pray the way we pray. Prophet Muhammad, he said, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Pray as you see me pray. In the Nation of Islam, they didn't pray that way. Let me tell you how they prayed. We prayed. I was in the Nation of Islam. We turned toward the east and raised our hands like that. No ruku, no sujood. Just stand up like that, and that was our prayer. Imam, how many prayers did we make a day? Do you remember? Was it 5? It was 5. So they prayed, but was it a legitimate prayer? Of course not. Number 3, and this is right in the Bunya al-Islamu ala khams. Islam is built on 5. Siyamu shahru Ramadan. Fasting in the month of Ramadan. In the Nation of Islam, they didn't fast in Ramadan. They fasted in December. Never made pilgrimage to Mecca. Every year they went to Chicago. So when you look at it on the surface, you say, oh man, that's not Islam. I mean, and you'll be right. So 1964, let me go back for a moment. Malcolm X is the charismatic spokesman for the Nation of Islam. Remember John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, November 1963. Elijah Muhammad, the other thing I forgot to tell you. Who's the last prophet for Muslims? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the Nation of Islam, they taught Elijah Muhammad was a prophet. So you see all of that against Islam. And by the way, as an aside, before I come back to 63, how many of you saw pictures of Malcolm? Raise your hand. Okay. Whenever you look at the pictures of Malcolm, you can tell where his head was at according to what he looked like. Whenever you see a picture of Malcolm with a beard, that means he left the nation. Any picture you see with Malcolm clean shaven, this was the Nation of Islam, clean shaven. And when Malcolm, 1963, Elijah Muhammad told all of his ministers not to say anything negative against John F. Kennedy. He was loved by the people. And so Malcolm X gave a speech, Manhattan, what's the name? Manhattan Center. And he didn't mention John F. Kennedy in his speech, but in the question and answer period, and he was asked, like, what do you think about the death of John F. Kennedy? If you know something about Malcolm, Malcolm was like, he'll say something like, all these black people dying, and you don't ask about black people. You want to talk about, John F. Kennedy. Well, the death of John F. Kennedy is like chickens coming home to roost. So that was a negative statement. And so Elijah Muhammad silenced Malcolm for 90 days for making that statement. So he couldn't speak. He was the minister in Harlem. He couldn't speak for 90 days. After the 90 days, it appeared to Malcolm that he wasn't going to be reinstated. So he broke away from the Nation of Islam, March 1964. Soon after that, he made pilgrimage to Mecca. Let me be honest with you. when he made pilgrimage. And you get this in autobiography of Malcolm X. He said there was time for prayer. I think he may have still been in Egypt on the way to Mecca. I'm trying to get my facts together. And I think he may have been in Egypt. It was time for Salat. He knew how to make Salat. He was watching the people around him and just imitating them. And he said, and he mentioned, isn't it an embarrassment, a shame, a minister in the Nation of Islam, and I don't even know how to make Salat. He mentions this in his book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X. I'm saying all of this, there's a reason I'm saying all of this. Now Malcolm was learning about true Islam. He began to write his friends about what he saw in Mecca. You know, because in the Nation of Islam, are you ready for this? Put your seatbelts on. You got your seatbelts on? You ain't got your seatbelts on, man. Your seatbelt ain't on. In the Nation of Islam, we were taught that all white people were devils. I'll say it again. In the Nation of Islam, we were taught that all white people were devils. So real devils weren't somewhere spooky in the sky, but they were real people, and they were the white man. And the white man was the devil. So they taught in the Nation of Islam. But then Malcolm went to Mecca, and he saw white Muslims. So Malcolm began to change his ideology, and he began to change, and he became a Muslim, alhamdulillah. When Malcolm came back, he started an organization. He went to Africa, went to Hajj. He started an organization called the Muhammad's Mosque Incorporated, Imam? Muslim Mosque Incorporated. And where he would teach the people Islam, real Islam. Here's the greatness of Malcolm. The greatness of Malcolm is what he became. This is the lesson. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, said, إِنَّمَا الْأَحْمَلُ بِالْخَوَاتِيمِ. Your deeds shall be judged by your last deeds. Unlike me, Imam Bilal, Imam Ayub, some of the other brothers, most of you were born Muslims. Your parents were Muslims. Am I right? Raise your hand. Okay. But a few of us, we converted to Islam or reverted to Islam. We became Muslims, alhamdulillah. And you could, maybe look down a little bit on a mere convert. But really, the truth of the matter is that Allah reminds us in Quran, وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. Don't die except as a Muslim. He's not talking about being born, because the Prophet said, كُلُّ مَوْلُودٌ يُولَدُ عَلَى فِطْرَةٍ. Everyone by nature is born a Muslim. So the pride is not being born Muslim. The real pride is dying Muslim. And I'm going to tell you something about Malcolm, which is going to be, I'm almost going to get to my point, is that a couple of things. Let me just, a few things. I want you to get this lesson. Consider this. Allah mentioned Quran. وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ لَجَعَلَ النَّاسَ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً وَلَا يَزَالُونَ مُخْتَلِفِينَ. If it were the will of Allah, He would have made all of people, one nation, one religion, one color, one nationality, one ethnicity. He said, but you will never cease to differ. Why is that important? If you study how many people on the earth, more than 7 billion. Of the 7 billion people on earth, 2,300,000,000 of them are Christians. 1,600,000,000 Muslims. 990 million Hindu. 550 million Buddhists. How many Jews? 14 million. Highest figure, 15 million. Some say 13 million. Sikhs and everywhere, different religions. And you as a Muslim must respect the fact that Allah says, "La sha'a rabbuka la'amana man fil ardi kulluhum jami'a afa anta tuqrihu nas hatta yakunu mu'minin." If Allah had willed, everyone on the earth would have believed. Would then you compel people against their will until they believe? No matter how great you think your religion is, you don't have a right to put people down. You don't have a right to make people believe. It's part of the honor that Allah gives to human beings. لَقَدْ قَرَمْنَا بَنِي Adam. Allah has given honor to the children of Adam. What kind of honor? The honor is that He gives you the right even to make a mistake, even to disbelieve in Him. You have the right to do that. No one can make you to believe. So it is with the Nation of Islam. No matter what you think about them, they have the right to believe as they will. This is the issue. I'm going to try to tie it together. I was reading, hadith, the scariest hadith. This, to me, the scariest hadith. The Prophet, the hadith is long. Let me give you the relevant part for our discussion. Wallahi, he said, Walladhi la ilaha ghayruhu. Whenever the Prophet swears, he's going to say something, he swears, he's going to say something heavy. Because does he have to swear for us to believe him? Oh, whatever he say, the Prophet said it. But he's emphasizing something. He says, and this is scary for me. He said, إن أحدكم ليعلم بعمل أهل الجنة حتى ما يكون بينه وبينها إلى ذراع فيسبق عليه كتاب فيعلم بعمل أهل النار فيدخلها. This is scary. If you're a Muslim, what I just recited from the Prophet is scary. He said, one of you do the work of the people of Jannah. Salat, dhikr, hajj, siyam, until there is nothing more than the distance of a dhira'in, like this close to Jannah, that close, you're right there. One more step, you're right there in Jannah. All of the salat you make it in the masjid every day, and you fast not only Ramadan, you fast on Mondays and Thursdays, you're doing all of that, you're just that close. And then you begin to do the work of the people of the hellfire. You kill somebody, and then you die and go to hell. Scary? Scary? It makes you say, I ain't never going to I'm going to make sure that I get myself together, and I'm not going to talk about what I used to do. I'm going to talk about make sure that I die like that. But then he said, some of you do the work of the people of hellfire until you're that close to hell. And then you begin to do the work of the people of Jannah for dakhaluha, and you enter the Jannah. We pray Malcolm did that and entered Jannah. What's the age of strength in the Quran? Full strength. 40. How old was the Prophet when he became the messenger of Allah? 40. How old was Malcolm when he was assassinated? Short of his 40th birthday. How old was Martin Luther King Jr. when he was assassinated? short of his 40th birthday. These men were giants. What's my point? What are you going to do with the lessons you learned from Malcolm? What are you going to do with it? Oh, Malcolm was good, Allahu Akbar. We invoke the name of Malcolm, Al-Hajj, Malik, Shabazz, Malcolm. Remind me when I was in high school, when I discovered Malcolm, I would walk around my house giving speeches of Malcolm X. Back during slavery, there were two kinds of slaves. There was the field Negro and the house Negro. This is what I would do. I would quote Malcolm. I could do more. But what's the point? What's the point? I close with this. Everybody has a chance to make a decision. There's a hadith, when you get a chance, volume number 8, the hadith that melts the heart. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, no one who goes to Jannah except he will be shown his place in hell, that had he disobeyed Allah would have been in hell. You get that? Did you get that? Meaning that if Allah bless you to go to Jannah, He's gonna show you where you would have been in hell. And everyone who goes to hell, Allah will show them his seat in Jannah where he could have been. Now watch this. Now this is my opinion. You may not like it. Sheikh Hamid may put me out. He gonna put me out. This is my opinion. I've come to the conclusion, and this is my opinion now. This is not the opinion of Masjid Hamza. It's not Shaheed's opinion necessarily, or even Bilal's opinion. Imam Ayub probably have the same opinion as me. And Imam Musa, that's not your opinion. This is my opinion. I'm reading between the lines. I believe that Iblis had the opportunity to get one of the greatest rewards from Allah ever. Why I say that? You want to see a spectacle? You want to see a spectacle in the universe? فَسَجَدَ الْمَلَائِكَةُ كُلُّهُمْ جَمِيعًا. And all of the angels, when Allah ordered them to prostrate to Adam, every angel prostrated to Adam. How about Jibril? Did he prostrate? Of course. The angel of death? Of course. The angels who carried the throne? Every one of them. Can you imagine the whole universe? All at one, all the angels bound down to Adam. Illa Iblis, except Iblis. Was Iblis an angel? Of course not. He was a jinn, but a powerful jinn. Go to Kitabul Iman, Muslim Hadith. I'm almost finished. Can you give me a few more minutes? I know you're tired. You look tired, man. Huh? No, I ain't got no half an hour. They're too tired. They're tired. You look tired, man. For real. I need some more water. And this water is not for me to drink. Whenever I have people in the audience look like they're sleepy, I get my water. You get my point, right? Kitabul Iman. The Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, said that whenever an ayat of the Quran is read about prostration, and we prostrate, Shaitan goes in seclusion and say, woe, woe is with me. The children of Adam were ordered to prostrate, and they prostrated فَلَهُمَ الْجَنَّةِ, and for them is al-Jannah. And I was ordered to prostrate, and I refused. Wali an-nar, and for me is the hellfire. He's crying, going into seclusion. He could have been, if he just obeyed Allah, but he's so arrogant that one moment he blew it. And to me, Shaitan made the worst dua ever in the annals of history. Instead of making dua for forgiveness, he said, "Oh Allah, فَأَنذِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمَ يُبْعَثُونَ." Give me respite until the day that they're raised up. What's the good news about Malcolm? The good news about Malcolm is that there are a lot of people out there just like Malcolm waiting for somebody to come to them. Will we do it? Imam, I don't know where you were in 1969. I was a student at New York University. The brothers from the Nation of Islam, they came there. And you know what? We were eating lunch. And they sat next to me and they showed me love. No Muslim ever came to me as a student in New York University, but the brothers from the Nation of Islam, they did. They came to me, and as a result, I went. I remember the first day I went to the Nation of Islam. I remember the very suit that I had on, the shoes that I wore. And at that time, I had a big afro. My afro was so big, you can land a helicopter on it. For real. So what's my message tonight? My message is tonight, there are a lot of Malcolms out there. For real. For real, they're there. Musa, do you know who my first naib of my masjid, my first assistant, my second assistant imam? His name is Abdul Rauf. Abdul Rauf, my assistant, my second assistant, we opened in 1982. He went to the University of Medina and graduated top in his class. He has 3 sons, Hafiz al-Quran. But what I didn't tell you, that like me, he came from the Nation of Islam. Imam Bilal, when you get a chance, I want you to go to Delaware. And there's a masjid called Masjid Kawthar. And there's an imam there, African-American imam named Imam Rudolph, almost 90 years old. He was in the Nation of Islam. Imam Ayub, have you ever heard of Captain Yusuf Shah? Captain Yusuf Shah was the minister with Malcolm X. Captain Yusuf Shah became Imam Yusuf Shah. Have you ever heard of Imam Ali Rashid? My man. Ali Rashid used to be Captain Edward on the west coast of the Nation of Islam. We made Hajj together. And I never forget, when we made Hajj together, both of us was given the honor of going inside the Kaaba. And when we went inside the Kaaba, so you have to see Imam Ali Rashid, Captain Edward. You have to see him as a strong man. He was a quarterback in college, was a captain in the army. And when he went inside the Kaaba, I'll never forget. I can see him today. Rahimullah, he passed a few years ago. I can see him today. He was crying like a baby. He was crying. He was in the Nation of Islam. 1975, when Elijah Muhammad died, his son, Imam Warithuddin Muhammad, became the leader of the Nation of Islam. That man, in 1 year, transformed the entire Nation of Islam to Sunni Muslims. See, what does it mean? It means that don't be the judge of people. People get angry at me. They write in the internet, Imam Siraj, he's with the Nation of Islam. For real? I'm with the Nation of Islam? I left the Nation of Islam. But why am I there? I'm there to help them, help teach them. We do that all around the country. We go and spending our time helping them to learn about Islam. And I leave you one thing and then I'm finished. Because, you know, Muslims, we just, You know, we just, you know, you're so pure and you're so pious. You can't get your little, you know, you're dirty from going into the mud helping other people. Instead of you helping other people, you know, you criticize those who help other people. See, years ago, you wouldn't want nothing to do with Malcolm. You wouldn't want nothing to do with me or Imam Bilal or any of us. But Allah is the judge. Your deeds shall be judged by your last deeds. So these same people that are pointing the finger against others wind up themselves leaving the fold of Islam. A'udhu billah min dhalik. I close with this. Something happened years ago, and I'm finished. I'm telling you, look at the clock. No. Look, is that clock right? Is that right? A few minutes to 7. Okay? If it's 7, I won't be speaking at 7 o'clock. Inshallah, I'm finished. You let me go to talk to 7 o'clock. You give me permission? Some of you ain't saying nothing. You give me permission? Somebody don't want me to go to 7? All right, okay. All right, no, I'm not going to go more. There's an ayat in the Quran, I must admit, has baffled, I got to stand up, has baffled me for years. It's so baffling that Allah had to send the revelation to his prophet about it. It was so baffling, it caused one of his greatest companions, it caused him an awkward moment. Here's the verse. When you get a chance, read chapter 9, verse 80. Listen to the verse. استغفر لهم أو لا تستغفرهم إن تستغفرهم 70 مرة فلا يغفر الله لهم. Ask Allah's forgiveness or don't ask Allah's forgiveness. If you ask Allah's forgiveness 70 times, Allah will not forgive them. Context. Who is Allah speaking to? Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. If you look at the Arabic, you're clear. He's speaking to one man, he's speaking to the Prophet. Istaghfir lahum. Not istaghfiru, istaghfir lahum. Who is he speaking? Who is Allah speaking about? In general, them, the hypocrites. Ask forgiveness or you don't ask forgiveness. If you ask 70 times, Allah not going to forgive him. That's the verse. Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul. Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul. He came to the Prophet and said, Ya Rasulullah, my father, he died. Who's his father? Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul. Not only was his father a hypocrite, he was the chief of the hypocrites. He said, my father died. Can I take your shirt to shroud him? And the Prophet gives him his shirt. No problem. Then he said, could you pray for my father? The ayat is there. So I need you to sit here for a second. So the Prophet goes to pray. Now I have to ask you a question. Do you know martial arts? No. Good. Now I'm going to do something to you, but don't get excited, okay? Don't like swing on me because I got my security here. Okay? You all right? You're not nervous? You're a little nervous. All right. So the Prophet, he gets up for qama to pray over Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul, a munafiq, despite what Allah said. So Umar, فَأَكَثَى بِثَوْبِ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم, and Umar grabbed the shirt of the Prophet, said, Ya Rasulullah, tusalli alayhi, وَقَدَ نَهَقَ رَبُّكَ أَن تُصَلِّي عَلَيْهِ. You're going to pray over that, him, and your Lord has prohibited it. You know what the Prophet said to Umar? He said, Ya Umar, Allah has given me a choice. Technically, he's right. Istaghfir lahum أو لا تستغفرهم. Ask or don't ask. But the spirit of the ayat, if you ask 70 times, I'm not going to forgive him. Umar said, I'm going to ask more than 70 times. I'm asking myself, why? So the Prophet prays over Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul. And so all of the companions, Umar too. Soon Allah reveals, never pray over them who die like that or stand at their grave. Was Umar right? But so was the Prophet. For years, that baffled me. I'm saying, why? And finally, I found my answer. You can go back now. Thank you. I think you did a wonderful job, man. You were good. You were unbelievable. You were courageous. You were bold. You were like Malcolm. I found the answer. I found the answer. I'm reading the tafsir of Tabari. In another one, Qurtabi, similar. I found my answer. Someone asked the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, why did you pray over him? He said, my qamis nor my prayer can stop the punishment of Allah over him. But I hope that 1,000 of his people would accept Islam as a result of what I did. And it happened. What gives credence to that is this. If Allah didn't want the Prophet to pray over him, he could have stopped him beforehand. He waited until after. Gives credence to that. Why say that? Brothers and sisters, we have to start thinking big. Wherever I go, inshallah, my intention is to give people guidance. Whatever it looks like to you, why you take it easy. There are a lot of people out there, brothers and sisters, waiting for us to come. But you know what? We don't come because most of us don't care. 1 block south of my masjid is a armory, men's shelter. 1,000 African Americans, Latino American, homeless men there. People pass by them every day. Do you even care? You see, you can't be the judge. The guy selling the drugs, he may be another Malcolm. He may become a Muslim. We got brothers I'm telling you, we got brothers in my masjid. You wouldn't know the kind of life they used to live unless we told you. And you just don't know. There's a lot of them. So please join da'wah efforts everywhere. That's my message today. That's the legacy of Malcolm X. You can become the worst and then become the best. May Allah bless you. I thank ICNA for having this great symposium. I thank Masjid Hamza for allowing us to come together. Inshallah, we have a couple minutes for any questions that anyone may have to have inshallah. Any questions? Yes.
I had heard that when Malcolm...
Give him the mic. Be like Mike.
When I studied with Professor Akbar Muhammad in Binghamton, who is one of the other sons of Elijah Muhammad, or the brother of Imam Muhammad Rahimahullah. And one of the things that I learned from him was that Malcolm, when he went for Hajj, he went with Akbar and with Warith al-Din.
Really?
So that's what...
Never heard that.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you knew about any
Never.
of those.
Never heard that. Interesting. Subhanallah. And mashallah, I never heard that. I'm going to check that. I'd rather think not. But he said it. Akbar himself said it?
Well, he said that he stayed in Cairo and went to Al-Azhar instead of coming back to the States. And he was pretty young himself.
He was.
And then he went to Edinburgh, Scotland, got his PhD. But he never came back and joined the Navy.
He never did. By the way, something interesting that if you study Malcolm, the one he gives most credit to about teaching him Islam is Imam Warathuddin Muhammad. That's the one he respected, because Imam Warathuddin Muhammad, may Allah bless him, really, he did something really miraculous. There are people in the Nation of Islam didn't like what he was doing. Really, if it not for the will of Allah, they would have killed him. But Allah protected him, Imam. Allah protected him for him to do that work. And I think I was saying the other day, there ought to be a movie about him. If you made a movie about Malcolm, you need to make a movie about Imam Warathuddin Muhammad, what he did. It will be a fascinating story, Imam. I really, maybe we talk to Spike Lee. And let me tell you something what Spike Lee said, by the way. I know none of you ever watch movies. I know that. Anyway, someone asked Spike Lee, what makes a good movie? He said a good movie has 3 ingredients. Makes it great, a great movie. He said, number 1, it has to be educational. Number 2, it has to be entertaining. And number 3, it has to be inspirational. If you listen to Malcolm, even in his speech, Minister Farrakhan the same way, they have all those qualities in their speech. And the thing that makes them scary to the power structure is their ability to influence people. That's what scares them. Same thing with Martin Luther King Jr., the ability to inspire people, for real. I mean, these people were unbelievable giants. And I'll say this truthfully, Martin Luther King Jr., one of my favorite heroes ever. Man is fantastic. Any other questions? Yes, sir. Yes. So when I talked about the ibadah, the worship, let me say something about Malcolm was interesting. If you study his life, you will find out that after he died, all these years, he's been dead now 51 years. Today marks the 51st year of his assassination. And Imam, you notice Imam Bilal, no scandal about Malcolm. Others, you hear scandals about, no scandals about Malcolm. And when Malcolm died, by the way, his daughter, Ilyasa Shabazz, you should read a book called Growing Up X by Ilyasa Shabazz. She's one of his daughters who witnessed him being murdered, his third daughter. And she mentioned that when her father died, all he had was $600 to his name. He was one of the most popular, sought-after speakers on colleges. All of his honorariums, he turned them over to the Nation of Islam. Man was dedicated. The man was committed in ways that you can't imagine. The one thing about Malcolm, many times you have a good speaker, but a good speaker is not necessarily a good organizer. Malcolm was a great organizer. And a lot of people would say that the growth of Islam or the Nation of Islam had a lot to do with Malcolm and his organizing ability. You know the paper called Muhammad Speaks Newspapers? Malcolm was the one to put that together, Muhammad Speaks. So in the context of his ibadah in the nation, immaculate, right? But now coming over to the Islam, alhamdulillah, which another point, I'm sorry. Another point I have to make. You say Muhammad, that Malcolm was great, right? He was great, this and that, right? But really, how much did he know about Islam? Really, I mean, honestly, your average children know more about Islam than Malcolm did. This is not to put Malcolm down. I'm not trying to do that. So Malcolm, if you think about it, it only was his last year that now he's beginning to learn about the true Islam. How much time did he get to study and to learn about all of the Islam? But look how much he did with the little bit that he had. Look how much we have in the little bit we do. One of the things that we love about Malcolm And Imam Musa and Imam Ayub, we have to deal with this. Malcolm never abandoned his people. Many Muslims, African Americans, when we get Islam, true Islam, we're not what we used to be like in the nation, going after the people. Now, Imam Ayub wasn't in the nation, right, Imam? Never in the nation, right? You weren't in the nation, right? So what happens that a lot of us, I think, once we got the pure Islam, almost abandoned the people. Malcolm never abandoned his people. And he threatened to take the United States to the to United Nations and charge them with genocide of black people in this country. So Malcolm was, he was very astute politically, and he was always working for the advancement of his people. Like Martin Luther King Jr. as a Christian, Malcolm did it as a Muslim, and we have to do the same thing. We can't forget about like groups like Black Lives Matter. Don't well, that's for them. No, it's for us. We should assist all the people that are oppressed. We should assist the Palestinians. We should assist because we're too quiet. Malcolm was not a coward. The Prophet was not a coward, nor should we be cowards.
My name is Mohammed Lamin. I'm from Senegal. I moved in Valley Stream in 2010. I joined Masjid Hamza over here, my kids, and my wife. Thank you for everything. I don't have no question. I have just a contribution for the brother over here.
Yes.
When I came to the United States, it was 1989. My people, when they came over here, it was lost, we was lost. Mm-hmm. We found Imam Siraj. I'm just making a point about how Imam Siraj was a center in our life.
MashaAllah.
Imam Siraj was our guide. Imam Siraj was our refuge when we have problems.
MashaAllah.
Someone need papers, ask question, go to Imam Siraj. MashaAllah. Someone get killed in the street while you are selling some drink, go to Imam Siraj. You want to build something, you have no reference, go to Imam Siraj. If you have a problem, go to Imam Siraj for a lawyer. To make it short, Imam Siraj, in behalf of my people, in behalf of all Senegalese, Malian, and Guinean, I salute you, and I will say thank you.
Thank you. Brothers, I have a theory, and I'm not going to talk about it tonight, but if anyone wants to engage me with this theory, we can talk at another time, another venue, and I may be going public with this. I think I have a lot of discussion about the Nation of Islam. As bad as it was, I want to say something about them. I was telling Hamid the other day, he was in my office. I'm going to share with you what I told him. When I was a student at New York University, I was going to school full-time and I was working full-time. And when I joined the Nation of Islam, my leader at that time, Elijah Muhammad, wanted us to sell this 25-cent newspaper called Muhammad Speaks. I did. I quit my job. I believed so much in the teachings, I quit my job and sold a 25-cent newspaper. I was not driving. People know me. My family would know I wasn't driving. I sold 1,000 Muhammad Speaks newspapers a week by myself, walking all throughout Brooklyn in projects, going in buildings, and you can imagine change in my pocket as I'm walking down the street. I'm going by myself in buildings. Can you imagine how dangerous it is? I never thought about the danger, except one day. I was on Eastern Parkway and Utica Avenue. I went into a building. When I opened the door, I saw in the middle of the hallway 2 African-American men. And I said to myself, they're going to try to rob me. This was my assessment. So should I go back or should I go forward? I decided to go forward. The guy on the right had a stony face, like your face. It's not stony anymore, right? But he had a stony face, no smile. And the guy on the left was a little more flexible. So what I did, I went to the guy on the left. I took a Muhammad Speaks newspaper. I shoved it under his arm. And then I said, "What's the matter with your friend over there? Don't he smile?" And I looked to him, thought he'd be smiling like you. He didn't smile. I took a paper, I shoved it under his arm and said, "Give me 25 cents. True story. The guy on the right, the stony guy on the right, he went in his pocket, took out a gun, and he said, "You just can't steal from a Muslim." Put his gun back in his pocket and gave me 25 cents for the paper. I think that Allah guided the people in the nation of Islam for the niyyah. Wrong aqidah? Yes. Wrong ibadah? Yes. But the niyyah. And because of it, I think so many people from the nation of Islam, they came. I have a feeling that today, in the nation of Islam, many of them are going to come and become Muslim. I think some of the best Muslims right now are in the nation of Islam. I believe that. And because I believe it, I act according to it. Hamid will tell you, and Shahid will tell you, where I'm supposed to be today. They will tell you, where was I invited today? They tell you, but I chose to come here because I made a commitment to be here. But my idea is to go help them, bring them into Islam. And if they come into Islam, brothers and sisters, you will see something in this country. I believe it. But again, Allahu Alam. Yes, sir. Yes, okay.
When the Malik he went to Mecca, he was in a good way of nation of Islam?
Me? Me?
No, not next.
Oh, no. When, alhamdulillah, but by the way, Allah just blessed me. I just finished making my 5th or 6th pilgrimage this last year, alhamdulillah. But when Malcolm made Hajj, he made it in a good way. He had changed his ideology, alhamdulillah, and he's Muslim, alhamdulillah. By the way, it was still weak, but still he believed. No. Yeah, by that time, no. By that time he left, alhamdulillah. And he has started, to believe the way we believe. Right.
You can walk any neighborhood you want without a problem.
That's so much. A common dress of the nation of brothers with bow ties, and I did it. One day I'll show you some of my pictures when I was in the Nation of Islam. But the Nation of Islam prepared the way for Muslims to practice our faith today. You see, one thing about that's good about our country is the First Amendment, freedom of religion. I, as a Muslim, not only fight for my right to practice my faith, but I fight for the right of those who practice what faith they want to practice, because this is Islamic way, that you have a right. I have to convince you with argument, argue in the best way, to invite them to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bil hikmah wa ma'adatin hasana, with wisdom and beautiful preaching. When I remember the day that I decided to become a Muslim, a black Muslim. It was the death of Martin Luther King Jr. I was in St. John's Recreational Center in Brooklyn playing basketball. And they had announced that he died. And I went home. I was a senior in high school. I went home crying because Martin Luther King was my hero. I said that night, I'm either going to be a black Muslim or a Black Panther. Black Panthers sometimes get a bad name, a bad rap in this country. There were sincere people who fought the way they could for their people, getting justice for their people, and they got a bad rap. So you can Google and study some of their some of their history, Black Panthers.
One thing is always inspired me about Malcolm is, and I think we should know he was brave because he knew that day he had a report, he got killed. He parked his car, far, and then he walked.
I don't thank you, Jazakallah khair. You know something? The thing I didn't tell you about one of the beliefs in the Nation of Islam, they didn't believe in the hereafter. Yeah, they didn't believe in the hereafter. And by the way, I have to tell you this, a lot of this has changed now. Imam Muhammad's group, all of them believe exactly as we believe, same aqidah, no question. In the Nation of Islam, they're still developing, still evolving, we're still helping them, inshallah. But in the old Nation of Islam, they didn't believe in life after death. For us, is major. I mean, Imam Bilal, right? I mean, that's like, all I think about is Al-Jannah. So again, we have to work and help them as much as we can, inshallah. Yes, sir. By the way, I didn't tell you, some of you know. What's my name? Siraj Wahhaj. I wasn't born Siraj Wahhaj. Did you know that? I'm going to reveal for the first time here what my name used to be. If Imam Ayub reveals what his name used to be. I was born with the name Jeffrey Kears. Jeffrey Kears. In 1969, when I joined the Nation of Islam, I became Jeffrey 12X, which meant I was the 12th Jeffrey in New York to become in the Nation of Islam. Imam Bilal, your name was Charles, right? What was your name? Charles 97. That means he was the 97th Charles in New York to join the Nation of Islam. Your name was what? William 50X. William, brother William. He was the 50th brother in the Nation of Islam to become and to join the Nation of Islam. Yes, wa alaikum salam.
So earlier we discussed that there was no wisdom without experience. We spoke about that the takeaway from Malcolm's life is the dawah, and how there's reversions, and then there's people who are born into Islam, but we see a lot of the immersion of born Muslims within this country, especially now that it's expanding a lot more than before, that they're involved in the explicit activities that Malcolm was involved with before he was introduced to Islam.
Good point.
So what are some of the
Good point.
that we can take away from some of the
Good point. Good. Let me say this, brothers. I'm gonna read a quote from the autobiography of Malcolm X. But let me say this first. I am concerned about our ummah here in the United States. Every masjid have two doors. They have a front door and a back door. The front door by which people come into Islam, I came to that front door, Hamza Yusuf, Zaid Shakir, Abdullah Kim Quick, Bilal Phillips, all of those came to that front door, alhamdulillah. At the same time, we have a back door by which Muslims are leaving the faith. So the job of the imams, the teachers, the professors, the parents, is to open wide the front door and close that back door. Our children, some of them are leaving the fold of Islam. I can't tell you how many. I suspect that there are more Muslims outside of the masjids than in the masjids, from what most people tell me. Two things. There is a product and a salesman. Sometimes you can have the best product, but bad salesman, and you can't get no sales. And sometimes you have a bad product, but good salesman, and you can sell a bad product. Cigarettes, bad product. Alcohol, bad product. Gambling, bad product. The best product, Islam, but we're the salesmen. We're those who take this message to the people. We have to sell our own children. If we don't pay attention to them, we're going to lose them. Let me read something that Malcolm said that touched me. And I think this answers your question. Page 351, in the chapter entitled Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz Al-Hajj. Behind my nods and smiles, though, I was doing some American type thinking and reflection. I saw that Islam's conversion around the world could double and triple if the colorfulness and the true spiritualness of the Hajj pilgrimage was properly advertised and communicated to the outside world. I saw that the Arabs are poor at understanding the psychology of non-Arabs and the importance of public relations. The Arabs say, Inshallah, God willing. Then they waited for converts. Even by this means, Islam was on the march. But I knew that with improved public relations methods, the number of new converts to Allah could turn into the millions. We have to utilize the tools of this age. In Washington, D.C., whenever I used to go there, there was a group of young Muslims. Whatever program I went to, they went, and afterward they would take me to a Muslim restaurant. We developed a relationship. One of them moved to California, recently came to visit me in New York. He says, Imam, I want to be honest with you. I hate going to Jummah prayer. I said, why? He said, Imam, is not relevant to me. The khutbahs are not relevant at all. So I talked to him and counseled him. And that's the issue. How do we get to this youth? They're different. They speak a different language. Imam Ayub, Imam Bilal, Imam Ayub would tell you. Imam Musa, he may not know. In the old days, you know, we used to like music. But we had people like the Temptations, Smokey Robinson, and the Miracles. Manhattans. But these people today, we don't know these people. I don't know, maybe they know. I can't. I listened, I said, what are they saying? I don't get it. It's a different time. We have to find ways to relate to them. Most of them are on some kind of Twitter or some kind. You know. So the answers lie within you. You have to help us. And the youth have to come help us to help them. They got to tell us how to talk to them. Alhamdulillah, when I came, I shot basketball with the brothers outside. That's what we do. I remember one time we were at a conference in summertime, and when I got there, they said, well, these guys, they're so bad, you know, they listen to nobody. I said, no problem. And I was supposed to teach them, right? I said, we ain't going to teach. We're going on the basketball court. And we're going to play basketball. And Uncle Siraj, that's me, I beat him. I beat him so bad, boy. Boom, shoo, 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 shoo. And when the basketball game was over, we went back to class. They were very attentive. Yes, yes, Imam Siraj. Because we related with, we you know what I'm saying? We got down with him. You know? So we have to find a way. One more. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I think one of the biggest issues in the previous generation, you said there were a lot of people waiting to become Malcolm. They're waiting for us and we're not going.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest issues in the previous generation was that we were too busy fighting amongst ourselves, even within Sunni Islam,
Yes.
different denominations,
Yes.
and so forth. And unfortunately, I think that's being transcended down towards the next generation. So how do we combat that? How do we unify ourselves to unify those waiting for us?
You know, I'm a believer of having the right personnel. Having the right personnel. Every year, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, when they want to replenish the league, what do? They have a what? A draft. When you draft, who you drafting first? The best. We don't think about development of leadership. What made that generation so good, you had Malcolm, you had Martin Luther King Jr., you had all those just great people who developed. Listen to what the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam. لا تسوبوا أصحابي فلعن أحدكم أنفق مثل أحد الذهب ما بلغ مود أحدي ولا نصيفه. Don't you revile my companions. Don't curse them. Because if one of you spent gold the size of Uhud, it wouldn't even equal a handful of what one of them spent in the way of Allah. So think about it, right? Allah chose Muhammad, Ibrahim, Dawood, Isa, Sulaiman, and Ibrahim, all of them, personnel. The Prophet, Abu Bakr, Umar, Ali, Uthman, Aisha, Khadija, it's personnel. So it's about now training personnel so that they can take the positions. Now, I mentioned before, you got people who are good speakers, but they're not good organizers. That you don't necessarily have to be. You don't have to be the leader because you give a good speech. Give a good speech, but let someone who knows how to organize, let them organize. And just that happened. You get people like Umar radiallahu anh who have a combination of them both. Great organizer, right? So it's about training right now. This getting some people with potential. Check this out. Listen to this dua. Allahumma izza al-Islam bi Abi Jahli ibn Hisham, Abi Umar ibn Khattab. Oh Allah, strengthen Islam with either Abu Jahli ibn Hisham or Umar ibn Khattab. Here's the Prophet making dua for two people. They're not even Muslims. They're not Muslims, but he recognized something in them. They got a leadership quality in them. And he said, when he's talking about his uncle Abu Talib, to be Muslim is personal. But when he talks about the ummah, now I want somebody who could lead this ummah. So one hadith said in At-Tirmidhi, the next day ummah took shahada. Dua. So what does that mean? That means that we have to start making dua, not just for those here, but those who ain't even here yet. Now, me personally, I ain't making dua for Trump, me personally. I mean, I'm just saying, you could do it. It's all right. You could do it. You probably did it already. You did. Yeah, all right. So I make dua that, Obama becomes a Muslim again. I'm messing with you, man. You get my point? So we have to look for, and there's people there. And they may not be 100% practicing yet. Let me give you the best example. A brother I love dearly. Study Nu'man Ali Khan. Didn't like going to the masjid. at all. He tried to avoid the masjid any way that he could. I knew his teacher. His teacher told me. He said, Imam Siraj, now don't tell Nu'man I said this. Right? This is keep it here. I'm serious. If you tell Nu'man, he's going to tell me you said it. He says, Nu'man was my worst student. But look what he became. Look how Allah used him, turned his heart around. Now, Nu'man goes places, thousands of people come to listen, and they're guided by him to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I listen to Nu'man Ali Khan. I've learned from Nu'man Ali Khan. So there are a lot of people out there like that, who when you look at, but they ain't coming to the masjid. Don't throw them away. Go after them. Because the same ones who don't go to the masjid, the same one who got wearing tattoos. They wearing tattoos, so you're going to be a judge of them now because they're wearing tattoos. Okay, they got tattoos. Okay, so what? My whole point tonight is go after the people. Go after the people despite where you think they are. Find them where they are and try to bring them. We got one more back. That's the last one. Good question. He was born the name Malcolm Little. So his mother and father gave him the name Malcolm. In the Nation of Islam, I tried to explain to you that when you are, whatever your name is, and according to how many people in that city who in the nation, you become that number. So he was in Detroit. He was the first Malcolm. So he was Malcolm X. The one who came after him named Malcolm 2X, Malcolm 3X, Malcolm 4X, so forth and so on. Elijah Muhammad, what he did is he took away the slave names. I said my name was Jeffrey Kearse. That means that my great-great-grandfather's name was Kearse because he was the slave of the slave master Kearse. And so Allah said in Quran, call them by their father's name, but slave masters, for ownership, they put their names on the slaves. So we gave back the slave master's name. Cassius Clay became Muhammad Ali. Elijah Muhammad gave him that name, Muhammad Ali. There are a lot of people in the Nation of Islam, that people you know today, that was in the Nation of Islam that you don't even know that. And even some of the names that they had were given by Elijah Muhammad. I chose the name Siraj Wahhaj. I chose it myself. So in 1975, when we left the Nation of Islam, many of us took names. Bilal, how did you get your name, Imam? Bilal? Same way? You just chose it, right? And William, how you get your name? You chose it, right? So we changed, we took names. Technically, really, truthfully, the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, didn't change your name unless it had a bad meaning. So we didn't change our names because it had a bad meaning, but we changed it because we wanted to give the slave master back his name. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much.
I would like to